And my junior year of high school, I actually promised my mom I was going to be a weatherman one way or another. So I did my research, and the Air Force was the only real military installation that had weather forecasting as one of their career fields. So I went ahead and went that route. And it was a long process. The first 9 months were my weather training months, which was the equivalent to 86 semester hours in college. So it was pretty intense and a grind. From sun up to sundown, we were studying. At first, it's kind of a training or an office environment. We go to a regional hub, which basically I went to Barksdale Air Force Base in Bossier City, Louisiana, and we did all the forecasting for the Army and Air Force installations from Kansas down to Texas, all the way through North Carolina and Florida. And we also issued the watches, warnings, and advisories. Now that was the actual office scope of it, but also we trained during our off time on the office for downrange and combat deployments, and basically we would be downrange in Afghanistan, Iraq, forward deployed locations, creating forecasts for any kind of missions that were coming up, whether it's for our ground movement troops, our convoys, our jets, helicopters, unmanned UAVs out there. And forecasting for that location was actually extensive, as far as pretty much putting bombs on target was the main goal. We're there basically because we don't have the resources that we do here, like we do in the United States, where every airport has a weather sensor, so to speak, and we have how knows how many meteorologists on air on TV, and we have apps and stuff like that, and actual models that forecast for this area. Out there, we don't have those things, and we don't have the historical data like we do here. So basically, before any mission is going to go through, we have a mission briefing, and the first thing that gets briefed is the weather. And if weather's really a no-go or red, we basically just go ahead and scrub that mission, or because there's no point in going because it's hazardous for our personnel. So we go out there and we use whatever resources we do have, as far as the 8 years of data that we might have, and compile that stuff and come up with a small little pseudo-climo and basically compile a forecast with that. We also have satellite information, but by the time we receive the satellite information, nowadays we have apps so we can see all this stuff on our phones. Over there, by the time we receive the latest satellite imagery, it's already 45 minutes late, so we have to go ahead and extrapolate that information and pretty much break it down in terms to where the unit commanders on the ground can go ahead and decide whether or not they should go forward with the mission. Yeah, I was in eastern Afghanistan, RC East, basically. Jalalabad is where I mainly stayed most of my time out there, which was the birthplace of Osama bin Laden. So that whole area did not like us being there. So every day we were receiving basically indirect fire mortars and rockets, 3 or 4 at a time. And it was usually right around the time that we eat our chow. So they had that time down pretty good. But we've also had times where we had suicide vehicles pull up to our ECPs, our entry control points, blow the gate wide open, and then the bad guys come into the wire inside the base, RPG, suicide vest, and you can definitely hear that distinct zip as that bullet flies by you with a little pop sound. So it was nerve-wracking, but while you're there, you're relaying weather forecast to the pilots, and they're radioing back in like, you know, hey, SWO, staff weather officer, we're seeing this rolling in from a distance. What are your thoughts on it? Because your forward deployed or your forward observers are your best resources out there, because they can see things before the computers can.
How do you think you're going to handle East Texas weather?
Well, East Texas weather is definitely has its own little twist to it. We get a little bit of everything here, from some tropical systems that finally make its way towards East Texas to the brutal summer heat. It gets cold over here too. We get some icy conditions. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of forecasting for East Texas, but at the same time, I'm not getting shot at. So
let's hope not.
So I'll take it. I'm up for the challenge.